Well, this very special guest with us, I finally caught up to him. We got him. This gentleman here with us is a 2002 draft pick to the New Jersey Devils. He's a former Windsor Spitfire, played here in like kind of the tough years of the Spit, so we'll get into that. He's a former St. Louis Blue as well. Played over 330 games in the show, racked up 774 PIMs. Our buddy Cam Janssen. Cam, how are you, buddy?
Hey guys, what's going on?
I didn't throw in OHL champ too.
Oh yeah, man. American boy doing that, you know.
Yeah, so you probably won that in Guelph, I'm gonna assume, right? Was it Guelph?
No, I think I did that in Windsor,
Did
where
you?
I think I had the most PIMs and most fighting majors or whatever it was. Yeah, I think that was in Windsor. I think it was my first year, to be honest with you. I
Yeah,
could
you
be
did.
wrong, man. They all blend in.
So how you been, man?
Good, man. I'm good. Doing the same shit you guys are doing, you know. The podcast, I have a radio show every morning from 7 to 10. I work
Mhm.
with guys around the St. Louis area that are in the media and work for the Cardinals. So you get a blend of different sports and thoughts of, we don't just talk hockey. Like I got to know about politics and stuff like that. You
Mhm.
just got to be on the ball and be creative
Right.
and entertaining for 3 hours every damn day. And then the podcast with Andy Strickland's a different animal. We
Mhm.
talk to hockey guests, but we talk about everything leading up. But if it's hockey, if it's a big hockey week, then it'll probably be 95% hockey talk before we get into the guests. So you guys get the game, man. You
Yeah.
know, it's fun. People think it's everybody's got a podcast, but if you can make money doing it, it's a fun
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. Tell us a bit about your show. I'm curious. Like, fill us in. What are you
Oh.
doing and what are you up to?
Well, I host a radio show from 7 to 10 every morning. We got a studio in Kirkwood, Missouri. It's about 40 minutes from my house. I live way out here, man. If I showed you over there, you could see I'm on a golf course way out in the middle of nowhere, which is really cool. But I'm
Nice.
still like, I can still be able to get in to different areas. But I grew up in Eureka, Missouri, which is about 7 miles directly south of here. And so I'm used to traveling out and coming back. So I'm kind of used to that. We love it, but the radio is cool, man. Like, but I kind of produce it too. We have a producer, but I like to kind of figure out, go through what's going on. What are some funny topics we talk about? We have a text line that calls in and texts in.
Oh,
So,
wow.
they chirp us and we go back and forth and stuff like that. It's great. It's great.
Nice.
It's fun. I like to do it. I get there early. I do my push-ups, have my coffee, watch the news, and I jot down all my shit, and then we just entertain for 3 hours.
Mhm.
Right
So
on.
are you allowed to swear on that one, or do you, or
No,
okay, so
I
how do
could
you do it?
say
How do you, like, how do
bitch.
you just shut it off?
Oh, I can, dude. I got to do that. Like if I'm working for the Blues or I'm doing TV work, I do TV stuff like no, you just shut it off. You
Mhm.
completely shut it off. Now, if I'm with Andy and he does radio with me, not with me, but on the same station. He has his own radio show every Friday.
Mhm.
If I do radio with him, I'll slip up because I'm so used to going back and forth with him on a podcast where
Mhm.
I'm like, whatever. I don't give a damn. That's our little baby. We don't care. We're not catering to children. We're not catering to anything. We want to be different. So maybe I'll slip up here and there, but no, dude, it's a switch. It's a
Mhm.
switch.
Exactly. Well, that's good. At least you get to be yourself and some respect on those. A bit more
Yeah,
free spoken, a bit more colorful, you could say.
it's the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
If you heard me on
exactly.
the radio, you'd be like, it's just the same thing. I just maybe throw a little bit more F bombs on the radio or on the podcast
Yeah,
Fair
which
enough.
I love.
So I
So
want to
because Andy
ask
pisses me off.
I want to ask about the process of being drafted. So you come from playing for your local hometown team in the NAHL, St. Louis Sting, right? You rack up 244 penalty minutes in 45 games. Ridiculous. Like insane. Over almost 5 times the amount of PIMs per game played. And then you go to Windsor your first year, and then you got 268 PIMs in 64 games. Talk about that rookie year in the OHL and then getting drafted that same year to the NHL.
Well, it all happened really fast. I'm from Eureka, Missouri. My
Mhm.
parents never played hockey. No one I grew up with played hockey, but I was obsessed with the Blues. And so my dad's like, let's get you some rollerblades. So I'd rollerblade in the basement. I didn't start ice hockey until I was 9.5 years old. Think
Mhm.
about that. That's really late.
Wow.
I went
Yeah.
to learn to skate. I made a AA team, and then I started playing AAA blues, amateur blues here.
Mhm.
And we were traveling up to Canada all the time. We played in the Michigan National Hockey League. So I went from boom, 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 and all of a sudden I'm playing AAA hockey and I'm scoring a bunch of goals and I'm
Mhm.
crushing guys with hits. And so agents would come up to my dad and talk to him
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Other teams would scout me. I would go play for other teams in Canada throughout the summer. So it just happened really fast. I was a really good athlete. Like if we go to a bar and everybody raced, I'd probably beat everybody, kind of thing. Just like an athletic.
Yeah.
But I loved hockey, so I got into it. So I went from boom, boom, boom. So I played AAA, and then I had a financial advisor at the time, or whatever it was, family advisor, I should say,
Mhm.
which is really an agent, but when you're too young. But he's like, listen, I got scouts up in Windsor that want to draft you into the OHL to me and my dad. And me and my dad are like, what? Like, what does that even mean? So I made the junior team here, the St. Louis Sting, and I just was, it was a shit show. We had 50 different coaches. We had like 130 different players. The team was going under. I was wearing like a bandana underneath my helmet with skulls on it, literally fighting everybody. I was so young, my dad had to drive me to the games, and I'm like beating up their heavyweights. I don't know how I did that either. I don't even know how I started that. I loved it. And so, but that year was kind of irrelevant. It really was because I was already thinking about getting drafted for my AAA year. So I just learned how to fight that year. And all of a sudden I go up to Canada, Mississauga, and I'm sitting next to Dustin Brown, who had the same agent, and we both get drafted. I think he went in the first and I went in the third. And I remember going up to Windsor, like, wow, where's Windsor at? All these jerseys are cool. Like, we didn't even know what the OHL was. But
Mhm.
then the next year, I went up there and made the team.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
remember because like when I was really at the freaking games, like trying to go every week, it was like you, Josh Gratton, and I'm like, it was just teams would come in and this old Windsor barn, right? It was
Yeah.
like teams would not want to come in, but then not only were the fans crazy in there, but then they had to come in and on the ice and they're dealing, like I said, with you and Josh Gratton. I just remember hearing, oh, we got this kid from like over in the States and this and that. And then you come out and I'm watching you shit pump guys and I'm going, holy fuck, who is it? Who is this guy? Like, you know what I mean? And then I was just then right there, I'm like, this guy may be one of my favorite Spitfires. And
Beating
you
the
ended up
wheels, eh?
being one of my favorite Spitfires. But
Yeah.
I was glad that I got to watch you for what, 3 years, 3.5 years here in Windsor. So it was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So that was the first time when I went to Windsor, living with a 75-year-old couple who, they were really, my parents were lenient, man. Like
Hmm.
I was a crazy kid, but disciplined. I was crazy, but disciplined. If that's even
Yeah.
possible, I really was. But I'd go out and I'd do this, and I was like, I felt like I was 25 years old when you're 16. But I lived with this family up there. I was in a new country. I was homesick. I was fighting everybody. It was the first time I went on the ice and I had a crowd in front of me. I felt the energy from
Hmm.
everybody, man. Like the fans loved it, and I loved it. So I fed off of them. I would always do autograph signings. I would always go talk intimately with all the fans. I'd
Mhm.
act like I knew them for 20 years or whatever it was. So I had a good system down, and I just felt it, man. So it makes you brave when you know you have a crowd behind you like that for the first time. I love the attention. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So so I just did it, but it was a wild scene going to high school up there. It was crazy, man. And then the next year, you want to ask a question, but the next year you get drafted and you sign. They
Mhm.
signed me right away, the Devils, for a couple hundred grand. And so I had all this money. I bought a big ass truck. I was going to high school up there. I had a cell phone. No one else had a cell phone. I
It's
would park
awesome.
in the teacher's parking spot. Oh God. Yeah, but I was respectful, but I was wild. You know what I mean? I didn't
Mhm.
piss. I was nice to everybody, but I was cruising around doing my thing. It was awesome.
Which high school were you at?
Yeah, I'm curious.
I, went- I went to Riverside,
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
then I went to St. Anne's
Mhm.
because I wanted to meet more girls, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Me and a couple
There,
other
there,
guys did it.
there,
Yeah,
there, there was lots there.
They're
I know.
they're
No, we
still
had a
one
good
of
time.
the high listed places locally for that
Yeah,
respect, but that's
Uh,
yeah, I think now they're
Yeah.
officially partners to the Spits, kind of. That's kind of like
Oh,
the
really?
billet. Yeah, that's where the billet kids go. Like I know Taylor Hall went
Yeah.
there, and even though he's from around here, Aaron Ekblad, like some of the guys further on. But do you remember much of that championship year? I like. There's got to be some great stories that go with that.
In Guelph, in Guelph, well, yeah, there is. So like the Windsor thing, I became real popular in that town, and then we weren't good. We had Spezza, we had Otter, we had
Mhm.
Gleason, we had guys, and all of a sudden my third year, which it wasn't my overage year, I didn't play my overage year. It's my 19-year-old year, 18, 19, and the team was bad, and they knew there was teams out there that needed toughness to go on a playoff run. But the fans and I never thought I was going to get traded. So I remember my buddies were in town and they watched me play and we're partying all night. Oh God,
Mm.
partying all night. And listen, man, I was already signed. I was drafted. I knew I was gone. I love Mike Kelly, but I was kind of doing what I wanted. I would always, never was late for anything. I was boxing at 5 o'clock in the morning before school in like hardcoreville with a bunch of hardcore cats, dude. I was doing everything I needed to do, but I was going out and I was doing what I wanted. And then I moved billets and my billets were lenient. So anyway, my buddies are in town. We party all night, and I come back to my billet house with my buddies for dinner, and everybody, my whole team's there. And I walk in, I'm like, what the hell did we do last night? I'm thinking, dude, I'm like, what is this? Like, why are they mad at me? Am I booted off the team? Like, I don't know. I'm like still like kind of messed up from the night before. I'm like, what's going on here? I walk in, my billets are crying. And my buddies are there. We're like, what is going on? They're like, Cam, I need to talk to you. All my teammates are there. They take me into a different room
Mm.
and they sit me down like, we traded you to Guelph. And I'm like, oh, thank God. And they're like, oh, God. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm like, oh, I mean, I'm not in trouble. And so that was kind of, so we all partied that night. Then the next day I had to go to Guelph. And the difference between that Windsor team going to Guelph with Ryan Callahan and Marty St. Pierre and God, Nico Tuomi, we had so many NHL guys. He wasn't one, but Daniel Paille to Ryan Callahan. I mean, just a ton of guys.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. And then who else do we have? I know I said Ryan. Who else do we have? We had a bunch of guys. Anyway, I
Big
go in
Dan
that locker
Girardi
room and
too.
Danny Girardi. Yeah, yep, you're right. And it
Stacked.
was just a different element. Everybody was like disciplined. It was awesome. And they put me on the first line for a little bit, and I was just getting penalties, man. And so they found a line with me and Kyle Spur and Jacob Voorhees, who was a first round draft pick too. I don't
Ooh.
think he made in the NHL team, but at juniors we dominated, dude. We were crushing guys. Nobody looked at us, man. I was fighting everybody, doing things. You know, we played London that year against Corey Perry. They were the powerhouse too. We beat them in Game 7. I think I scored a big goal in that game. Like I had like 50 minutes of penalties too, which is god awful, but it doesn't matter. But uh, but yeah, we won that thing and against Mississauga. We beat them in 4. It was cool. We went the first round against Owen Sound to 7. Then we beat Plymouth 4 in a row. Then we went to London and went to 7, which was a crazy series. And then we shit kicked Mississauga and had a good time. And you got to wait a month,
Yeah.
Mhm.
to go to the Memorial Cup, which is in Kelowna, which is awesome. You got to like wait a month, and we're doing our thing, and we go to Kelowna, and I think we lost a couple times in overtime, and Kelowna was great, and they beat us. But what a cool thing to get a championship there, man! And that like catapulted my like Lou Lamoriello and the Devils looked at that and they're like, yeah, he's ready to come up. So a couple years later, I made the team too,
Mhm.
the Devils.
Mhm. Did you ever have to play any road games in Windsor when you were with like Guelph during the regular
No,
season at all? No. I always ask guys,
no,
what's it like coming in
I
as a
know,
visitor?
That would have been bad.
no, I didn't. But they played us in Guelph, and the whole crowd came up, and I did like a big thing afterwards with everybody, all the fans and stuff.
Mhm.
And like, you look at me in the NHL, like, but like in juniors, you're huge, like you're the big thing in town, man. Like
Especially
you're
in
in the
this
paper
area.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, they loved it, and I was so responsive to all the fans, where they all came down. My family was up. I scored a big goal on the power play, which is bizarre. I had like my girlfriend at the time in town, which was a stupid idea, but it's all good. Um, but it was it was fun, man. It was a good time. My parents got to see a lot of cool games. They did.
Mhm. I love it.
So you're talking about fighting all throughout your junior career and stuff, and like, did you grow quick? Like you're like 6'1", 215, your stats say. What are you? Were you
No,
that
I'm
big always,
5'11".
or?
I'm 5'11" and a half, homeboy. I'm not gonna lie. 6'1", yeah, right. I wish I was. No, I'm 5'11" and a half. I'm under 6 foot. So, I had to have a game plan, dude. I can't just go toe to toe with Brian McGrattan. I gotta have a
Mhm.
game plan. He's got a 6 inch reach on me, man. So I had to be strong and be able to throw with both hands and box. That's why I box all the time, dude.
Mhm.
I created a hockey fight lessons here with a bunch of my shit kicking boxing buddies that own gyms. And me and all these NHL guys at St. Louis would go there and learn how to hockey fight. So we had our own hockey fight training. So, dude, yeah, I was ahead of the game when it
That's
came to
sick.
that.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
How hard was it when it like when you would fight like from the OHL into like the AHL, the NHL, like how like because you get tagged, right? Like obviously if you fight, you're gonna get hit at some point. Like you're
Damn
not gonna
right.
dodge everything, right?
Mhm.
So do you find it was like was it a huge jump for that aspect of it,
Nah,
or was it kind of the same?
not for me. Not for me. I was ready to go. I became a man strength wise, not mentally. I'm still learning how to be mature, dude.
Me
Like,
too.
don't get me wrong. But strength wise, I was fighting grown men when I was young, dude.
That's
Mm.
insane,
Here,
dude.
like I would pick, oh, dude, I was crazy, but not like a weirdo kid. Like I am a, no, I was good. I did crazy shit. I partied hard, but I wanted to not fight because I was mad at my life. No, I was the happiest kid in the world. I just wanted to prove that I was a shit kicker, man. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm psycho. I don't care. But like I want to prove like I would fight grown men when I was
Yeah.
young, dude, in my young teens and get my ass kicked and then learn from it. So when I was 19, 20 and that lockout year in '04,
Mhm.
I didn't care. I'm fighting 35-year-old men. Didn't care. Just I was ready at that time
Mhm.
for sure. But not a lot of guys are. But that's why I probably would have played in the show in the '04 lockout year if there was a Lou
Mhm.
probably would have called me up if they had room.
Mhm.
So I was ready, dude, at a young age.
How old were you when you like first kind of realized like fuck, I'm good at this?
Dude, I knew I was, and it sounds cocky because I wasn't like I didn't my stats didn't blow up everywhere. Like you're not a first round pick, but I was so confident in my athletic ability to where and how much I love the game and I was obsessed with it. I even stopped going to school. My parents just accepted it because they knew I was driven, which is dumb to do. But I was in my own world, man.
Mhm.
But I knew at a young age, probably when I was 13 or 14, like, yeah, I got something here. And I
Like
can't
let's
wait
go.
to learn how to fight now because I know I can score in AAA and I'm going up playing against Rick Nash in Toronto and I'm scoring and I'm doing things. But I know that their skill levels here and no one's teaching me. Like my dad wasn't like, "Hey, this is how you get the puck off the wall." No, none of that, dude. I was rollerblading in the basement, just learning shit on my own,
Mhm.
watching the Blues. You know, um, so like skill wise, man, I really had to work on that. But the toughness and the skating and the hitting, I was way ahead of the game.
Love it.
So
Yeah.
if you're born in '84, you were watching the Blues when they were real good then. Like when they trade for Wayne
Damn
Gretzky and they got Shanny and all those guys.
shit. When they had fucking Holly cruising around
Yeah.
with Chaser and Twister, shit
Holly with that
kicking
sick
cash.
mullet.
Are you kidding? Dude, I'd watch Twister, man. I'd watch it. My dad, they'd come down to warm ups. We're watching him through the glass. Like I got my buddy, because my parents couldn't afford seats there, but they knew people maybe that were construction. They're like,
Mhm.
hey, take Cam to go watch. And my dad would do it. And Twister would piss pump guys. Oh, God, take his jersey off, flex for everybody. I'm like, oh,
Shredded.
my God, that's
Yep.
awesome. Brett Hall had his mullet, scoring 86, 70 goals,
Yeah.
chasers cruising around. I got obsessed with it, dude. Obsessed with it. I'd fight. Order my dad Christmas hockey fights from Don Cherry. I'm a
Love it.
Eureka boy. No one even knew who Don Cherry is around here. They still don't, for the most part. Maybe the hockey fans do, but I'm in Missouri, dude. We're not even
Mhm.
close to Canada. This hockey, because people like hockey because they like the Blues. It's changed now because you won the cup and there's a ton of kids that play, but no one knew shit about hockey where I grew up. Nobody. It was NASCAR and baseball and football. That's it.
Mhm.
So I would got obsessed with hockey fights from Don Cherry and all that shit. So it was just a different animal growing up here, man. It truly was. But now it's completely changed.
Mhm. Those old Rock'em Sock'em videos,
Yep,
right?
that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say. The
I had,
Rock'em
I think, every
Sock'em.
single one of those.
Well, you got to think, man, like the Blues came here in 1967. I
Mhm.
was the first one born and raised to play in the NHL, and that was in 2005. And I was the first one to play for the Blues from St. Louis, born and raised, and that was in 2007, 8. So it
Wow,
took that long to get a kid to the NHL
that's crazy.
from having a major hockey team, an NHL team in St. Louis. And now there's a ton of them.
Yeah.
That's nuts. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's cool.
So you were drafted by one of the most prolific GMs in the league. Obviously, he has his rules, and I want to hear a bit what it's like having a GM such as Lou Lamoriello, who's so set in his ways. Like, obviously, first thing you do there, you got to get that clean shave and just talk
Yeah,
about that.
he was perfect for me. You know,
Mm.
I remember like meeting with him in Toronto during the meetings. I met with a bunch of teams, you know. And I remember getting drafted by them, and he looked at me and he goes, "You look like a hockey player." And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And I remember shaving. It just makes you disciplined. I was so worried about how he evaluated me every day. I would get there before everybody else every single day. I don't
Mm.
give a shit if I partied the night before all night long and I had to change out of my suit that I had on the night before. I would get there just so because I knew he would walk in first. Then I started stick handling pucks and I would stretch and I'd go do little workouts and just show him, man, like no matter what, I'm coming in. You get weighed in every day. I was disciplined as hell. And I'm wild. And coming from juniors, kind of doing what you want, blah, 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 blah. I had money compared to the guys. Now you're coming, I'm looking at Marty Brodeur. I'm
Mhm.
looking at Scott Stevens in the locker room in '02 when I walked in. Kenny Dan, and I'm like, oh, okay. Lou walks in. I'm like, okay, what's going on? So it just made me disciplined. It
Mm.
truly, truly did, and I needed that at the time. But he had his quirks, man. It felt like every time I did something goofy, he'd be right there, and I'm like, But I think he liked me a lot. Like he
Mhm.
knew the guys. I was good in the locker room. I would do anything for the team. I was disciplined, never late. But he knew I had a party side to me too, and I was a
Mm.
little wild. And he accepted that and kept me on my toes. And I just, it was perfect for me. It
Hmm.
really was. I love that man. And I know Biz is chirping him right now for being
Oh
this,
yeah.
that, and the other because
Yep.
I know, but he is, and maybe he does need a change if he's still going to do this. But at the time, for me, he was perfect, and I love that man, and I love his son too, Chris, who was
Mhm.
great with me in Albany as well. So, he makes you a better person and player, just so you know,
Why
Wow,
is
that's
he so
awesome.
against like facial hair?
because he's hardcore, man. Because George Steinbrenner was the same way to the Yankees when they
Yeah.
dominated, and they were buddies. And he's like, "No, we're gonna be disciplined. Untuck your jersey." I used to want to like roll my sleeves up, blah, have no bucket and warm up. No, everybody looks the same. Everybody
Mhm.
dresses the same. Everybody looks good. I was doing radio for the Blues in Pittsburgh the other day, and the guys in the Blues are cool as hell, but like they just, they dress the way they want to dress. I remember sitting in the lobby in Pittsburgh, and the Islanders all walk in. I'm like, who is this? And they were decked out, shaved. They look classy as hell. I'm like, that's Lou's. Okay, those are the Islanders. I'm like, oh, there's Oh Boy and Martin and those guys. And I see
Mhm.
Lou walking. I'm like, yep, they look sharp, dude.
Hmm.
It's a mindset. It's a discipline. It's a state of discipline that you need. And I don't care if you're making 10 million, you're making 750. You are the same, and it's the crest. And I know that's corny and cliche, but it's so true in
Yep.
his mind, and it's worked for a long, long time. And so again, times change now. It is what it is, but maybe he could change up a little bit. But back in '05 to when I played, it was perfect for
So
me, and that's all I can say.
So look good, feel good, play good, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, you're a team. Everybody looks the same. Like
exactly.
Mhm.
I'm talking Jersey. No, we're Devils. We're
Yeah.
not you doing your thing and looking different with your neon whatever or whatever it is. No, this is what we're doing. This is our rules, and we're going to obey them, and we're going to be successful.
Well,
And we were.
and that's how you establish like that team mentality, right? Because then you'll get
Yeah,
people who end up, oh, they'll step out of line. Like that's what happens with teams who have a lackadaisical mentality of, oh, we can do what we want, or this isn't our year. We're not gonna. No, it's regardless of the fact where we're gonna place in the standings, we've got the same goal. Go in, win the
yeah.
hockey game, and we're gonna look good doing it, right? So,
And he's not the only one. Like there's big companies that do the same thing, and they're successful. And again,
mhm.
times have changed, and you have to adapt with the times. But at that time, no, man, just be disciplined. And then
Hmm.
you're always thinking about, we got weighed in every day, dude. So
That's
at night when I
crazy.
got people calling me or girls are calling you and they're like, "Hey, come in." I'm like, damn, dude, like I can't do that. You beautiful woman, but I can't do it. I can't
Mhm.
because I'm thinking of Lou, and I'm like, if I go have a bottle of wine with her, it's gonna put on a half a pound, and if I put on a half a pound, that means I can't eat this, and that if I don't eat that in the morning before I get weighed in, then I'm gonna be don't have energy. So it all like connects, and you're like, no, I can't do that. I'm not gonna answer this phone call. And that was good for me. That was good for me. And
you
not just me, probably a lot of other guys too.
you were gonna get some freaking cardio if you like went over there too. Don't lie.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe I would have lasted for 2 seconds, like a jackass, like I usually do, and then you're like, well, see you later. Or what do you want to do
Oh,
now? Drink,
that's so
so
funny. Oh
yeah.
fuck. That's
So
good.
did they make you reach like a set weight goal? Like did they take your
Yeah.
height measurements and then they say, boom, you have to be within 5 pounds of this for the rest of the season?
Yo, god dang right. Hell
That's
yeah.
how it
I
goes.
remember going, yes, I walk in, I'd be 212 in training camp. Right when you walk in for, your blood work and whatnot, you get
Mhm.
weighed in. Okay, that's where you're at. That's where you're at then. And he would evaluate you and maybe the strength coach, but man, maybe you should put, there's some guys that put on some weight,
Mhm.
like not everybody's the same. But for me, I was big enough and he liked me light because I was able to get around and hit guys more. Now, when I'm fighting a guy that's 260, maybe I don't have enough strength because I don't have those pounds on me. But boy, oh boy, I was cruising. And you rather be fast than be able. I was strong enough to hold off the guys and be lighter. If that
Mhm.
makes sense, and he knew that, so he was hard on me with the weight. But I was always pretty good, man. I didn't go overweight much
Mhm.
because of being disciplined.
Right. You still stick in a workout routine?
I mean, not even close. Like I could lose a lot of weight now, dude. Like I drink a lot of beer. I talk for a living now. I skate with the alumni here, the Blues alumni and stuff like that. But I kind of lost that, and I have dreams about it. I
Mhm.
have dreams about going into a locker room during training camp, thinking I'm trying to make the team, and I take off all my stuff, and I'm weighed in, and I'm fat, and I look the way I am. I'm pale. I'm gross. I was caught up then. Like I wanted to take off my stuff, like blah, like look. Now I'm like, oh God, please don't look at me. So like I have dreams about that, and it's a. I look at it like, and I read up on that. It's like something's telling you, get back in shape
Mhm.
because like imagine you did have to go into a locker room and take your shirt off and get weighed in right now. Lou would look at you and you'd be embarrassed and you'd be booted off the team and you'd go back home to Eureka. So I have weird night. I guess they're nightmares, but they're more of a disciplinary dream, which sometimes you need.
One of the things I love asking guys is what was it like for you leading up to your first game in the show? Like, was there nerves? Did you kind of know what you were going in to do? Like, who was it against? Like, just
Oh,
stuff like
dude.
that.
Well, I was in a weird jam. Somebody stole. I told the story on Spitting Chicklets, and Lou actually doesn't like me telling it, so I'll kind of like breeze through it because it blew up my first time on Chicklets. But somebody stole I was in the minors. So in '05 they had Christoph Oliwa and Darren Langdon.
Mhm.
And Lou knew I was ready, but they needed some security. So they signed those guys. And so I didn't make the team in '05 as a 21 year old. I think I was, so he sent me down for a month and they start trade away those guys to be able to call me back up and maybe another guy, maybe whoever it was at the time. And so I remember somebody stole my phone. They switched one of my buddies on the team's number out with Lou's. I called Lou like late at night, and I kind of embarrassed myself. And like he doesn't like to get fucked with that at all. So it
Oh
kind of blew
man.
up a little bit. I had to talk to him at a meeting. My parents. So I'm like losing my mind. So I'm like never want to piss anybody off. I just want to just do my thing, and I just don't want to have any drama. I don't want any of that shit. And that was a little bit of drama. And it was from one of the guys on the team that kind of fucked me over. So a couple of days later, my parents fly up to Albany, which is their minor league team, to watch me
Mhm.
play. And my dad's all pumped up, and I'm so nervous because I think that Lou's maybe sent me down to the coast. Like I don't know what's going on. So my parents come up, and I have a great game, dude, against Springfield or whoever it was. My mom and dad are in the stands, and I'm like, yeah, baby. I had a good game, but I'm so nervous that Lou's pissed at me. So I'm in the hotel with my mom and dad, having a couple beers, eating some pizza. And I'm watching the Devils and the Rangers. They played a Friday night and they played a Saturday night against each other, home and home. And I remember watching it, and Ryan Holwig is running around crushing guys. And my dad, and we're just chilling, having a beer. I had a good game that night, feel pretty good, but I'm still nervous. My dad looks at me and goes, "You're going to get called up." I go, "What?" I'm like, "You don't even know." He goes, "You're going to get called up." And I swear to God, 15 seconds later, I get a phone call. And it's Robbie Fatorik, our head coach of the Miners. And I answer it. He's like, "Hammer." He's so cool, but he chirped me a lot because I was young, but then I was kind of loud, you know. He goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" I go, "What's up, Robbie? What's going on, man?" He's like, "You're not playing tomorrow night." We played like, who knows, Syracuse, who knows who was.
Yeah.
I go, "Oh God, Robbie, my parents are in town." He goes, "I don't care. You're not playing tomorrow." I go, "Oh no." He goes, "You know why?" I go, "Why?" He goes, "Because you're playing against the Rangers. They're playing in Madison Square Gardens. You got called up. Get your shit packed and go down there and do exactly what I told you to do." I go, "Oh, I love you, Robbie." Boom. And then my dad's like, "I told you." He even know. He has no idea, but it just was some intuition.
That's crazy.
So I was there when I got called up. My parents drove me down to MSG, getting down to the hotel where the guys were staying at. I walk in to the hotel. They're all eating. I got sweatpants on. I look like a jackass. I'm so nervous. I'm like the youngest kid on the team by like 5 years, I feel like. So I walk in there, and Richard Mavachuk looks at me and goes, because they must have lost 2 games in a row. They were dominant that year. They were loaded.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard Mavachuk, I'm the young kid walking into the dinner, and he looks at me and goes, "Is this our savior?" And he looks back, and they all start laughing. Don't even say a word to me. And I'm like, "Oh God." I was so fucking nervous, man. But then I talked to all the guys. My mom and dad got to see me play in Madison Square Gardens, my first NHL game. They were in town. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And you're pretty cool to have your first ever game at MSG too, one of
Yeah.
the
No
most
shit.
known sports arenas
Not to
in
mention
the
the
world.
biggest rival of the Devils,
Yeah.
right?
You know
So
Oh,
what?
it's crazy.
While we're in MSG talk, how did all that shit go down at the opening face-off when you guys had like 3 fights at the same time? Like, how did all that go down?
Well, that happened like a couple times throughout that year, but it was just me and Eric Bolton fighting Rusty and Rupper or whoever it was.
Yeah.
But the big one when we all fought with Ryan Carter and Stu Bickle,
Yeah.
we literally were fighting these guys left and right all season. They were good, we were good. It was just a built up. Look at this big boy, by the way. That's probably like
Yeah.
$50 in Canada, just so you know. But so anyway, we get to MSG, and we've been battling all year. 2 really good teams fighting for first place. And I remember sitting in the locker room, and we're looking at each other, and of course we have to solidify our lineups first. So Pete DeBoer is probably like, "Fuck it, let's get going." So they put me, Bolts, and Carter starting the game, and then they put out Trusty, Rupper, Bickle, and then we're just in warm-ups, and we kind of know what's going on, and it's not like we just look at each other in the locker room. It's like, let's start a brawl, dude. Let's just ask everybody to go. Let's get something crazy going. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, "Yeah, okay." So we went out there, and I'm like, "I got Trusty," or "I got Rupper," and then we kind of switched around a little bit during the face-off, and they agreed to it. And so it was just one of those things where we looked at each other in the locker room like, "Yeah, let's do it." Those guys in the other locker room were like, "Okay, something's going to go down here."
yeah.
And once we saw each other in warm-ups, we're like, "Let's do it. You want to do it? You want to do it?" And they all agreed. So the shit hit the fan.
It's fucking nuts.
But I do think a couple guys love that, except for one guy on the team. Who do you think it was that didn't like it? On our team, on the Devils?
Elias.
No, it was Marty. I'm not going to have you do it. Why do you think that is, though? He usually loves fights, but it took 30 minutes to clean up the blood, to clean up
Carter
everything,
got cut bad,
to
right?
to go through all the bullshit.
Right.
And Marty's like, "I love that, but then I got cold and my groin started to hurt." He's like, "Damn you!" But he was joking about it. But yeah, so everybody loves that shit, man. That place was so loud. Oh my God, I had my wife at the time. She was my girlfriend at the time, but she was there with all our friends from Jersey and stuff like that. They all got to see it live. It was wild, dude.
That would be.
But Marty's like, "Damn it, dude! I almost pulled my groin because I was warmed up, and then all that shit went down, and he had to wait 30 minutes, not doing anything."
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
exactly.
Like,
Well, not to mention you guys can't afford him going out. You didn't even have a backup.
Yeah, I think we
Their
had.
backup goalie would play like 2 games a year.
Yeah. I mean, so we needed Marty.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like in a way, like it's still tough on the goalie when you sit there forever. But Lundqvist had to go
Mhm.
through the same shit too.
Mm-hmm. Did
So
you
what's
open? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry, no, you go ahead, Ant.
No, I was just gonna ask him if he opened his beer yet.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
Big old boy.
I
I
didn't
get these
know.
at the gas station. How much do you think that is at the gas station?
250.
139
Come on.
American. Isn't that
What
nice?
what size is that one? Like
Twenty
milliliters.
four ounce.
So
24
is
ounce.
that the well here it's milliliters. So is that what 750 here?
It's a big boy. It's
No,
a
Big
it's bigger
couple.
boy.
than
It's
that,
two in
Ant.
one.
I
Wouldn't it
didn't
be?
know because I didn't hear the yoink, so that's why I was waiting for the
No, I
yoink.
said it.
Oh,
I
did
Oh
said
you?
no,
it.
Fuck, I
750 be
missed
right.
it. I'm out of it.
Yeah.
It's recorded.
All right, Tris. Sorry, go ahead.
So no, I was just gonna ask him. So, what was it like getting after you get sent back down to the minors? You play for the Devils 2 years, and then you get to go back to your hometown. Like
Oh God.
that must have been. Just talk about that.
Well, it set me up for after hockey big time, dude.
Mm,
Like I'm a hometown kid. I was the first kid ever to make it. First kid ever to play for the Blues. Born and raised here. I come from a blue collar family. My parents didn't play hockey. They didn't know shit. So it's like a really good story. And they were struggling at the time. And then all of a sudden they had all these first round draft picks. They brought a hometown kid back. So
hmm
now you got storylines out the ass here. A lot of buzz in St. Louis, dude. We became me, Osh, Perron, Berglund, EJ. We became so popular in this town so fast. And like all my buddies from high school and shit, like I bought the house next to my parents. Everybody knew where I lived. It was complete chaos. But you have to go perform too, So I
hmm
went out there and just fucking tried to put on a show every night. I bring in 30 people in. They'd be partying in the wives' lounge. It was crazy. It really was crazy. It was so fun. You meet so many people. I didn't even know what I was like. They had me doing so much shit, and then I lived two separate lives, man. I had my hockey team life. The Blues are telling me to do stuff. I'm going on autograph signings and doing this and speaking engagements, this fun stuff. Then I have my family and friends that I grew up with, and they're asking me to do all this stuff. Boom, boom, boom. So it was pretty wild, man. It was really wild. But now, like when you retire, like so many people, everybody knows your name.
hmm
So that's why you have a radio show. That's why I get to go do engagements with former Blues and whatnot, and make money doing this, make money doing that. I'm not like I didn't make that. I spent a lot of money when I played, so it's like I had to start from scratch when I retired, basically, because of all this craziness that went down. But it was perfect. And 3.5, 4 years here was just enough time to really make my mark for after hockey,
mm
and I was just nice to everybody, and I would say no to nobody. Like I was,
Mhm.
Cam, do this, yes. Cam, do that, yeah, I will. Cam, help this kid out, okay. And people take advantage of here and there, and now I look at it at 39 years old, and now I'm kind of like really picky on different things. Like I'll do
Mhm.
as much as I can, but I just said, fuck it, I got to do as much as I can.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say yes to everybody, and I'm glad I was that way, and it just helps you out now so much. Now I'm a princess, but back then I would just do whatever. But it was great. It came a little too much, man, at times. Like don't get me
mm.
wrong, but I had a great time. We had a fun team, and now we're all still buddies. So it was awesome.
Mhm. But
That's
grabbing
cool.
that shirt, looking at it, like St. Louis, the big blue note on it, and then you turn around and you see your last name on it, being from St. Louis, and you slide it on for that first time, and you're like, "Fuck yeah, this looks good." And
Yeah,
then
dude.
you go out for the warm up with St. Louis. Did you go no lids for the warm up?
The first one, I think I did have a helmet on, but then I was like, nope, I'd have my shit fucking
Oh
pulled up,
yeah, fucking,
talking,
it's a
baby,
show
like,
out
what's
here.
up? Rolling my fucking stick around, saying hey to people in the stands that I knew, like, what's up? My old football coaches, my old
Love it.
track coach, my wrestling coach, my family, my cousins, your girlfriends, you're this, you're that. You're the man, baby. Oh, it was awesome, man.
Love it.
I mean, then everybody wait for you afterwards, you high fiving. We'd all jump in a bunch of SUVs and go party all night in St. Louis and say hey to people and be nice to everybody. No one
Mhm.
fucked with me. I never got into a fight at a bar. I mean, a couple people did a couple weird things to me, and I just look at the bouncer like, get him out of here.
Yeah.
But we were there to talk to girls, man. You know, I'd be nice to people. Always be nice to people. I'd always talk to the bartenders and owners and stuff like that, just to show that you're a real dude, you know, and you're from there. And so they always took care of me. I always had somebody that takes care of me. I always had somebody that drive me, even all the way back to Eureka when we party all night. Like I'd always have somebody. So like I had a good system. Well, not really. I just wasn't driving. You know, he did, you know, or she. But yeah. So it was wild for a bit there, man. It truly was, but it was all good. It was a rock star life in my own bubble.
Mhm.
You're not Leonardo DiCaprio. You're not Sidney Crosby. You're not this. But my own little bubble in St. Louis. Oh yeah, dude, we rocked it out, and all my buddies from high school partied with me and got to experience it too.
Fuck
That's sweet, eh?
Fuck
So,
yeah,
and
all my family. Hell yeah.
In all your scraps, who socked you the hardest?
Oh, I was gonna ask that too.
I never got knocked out in a fight. The only
There you
knockout I've ever gotten into was by my own teammate Brad Winchester, and you can look that up on YouTube. It's god awful.
Really?
We ran into each other, but who caught me? Colton Orr caught me one time. Colton Orr caught me one time at home. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't need to look bad to get fucked up. Just so you know,
Right.
you don't need to be buckled like this. No, sometimes you get rocked. He hit me. I remember going and hey girl, and I fucking fall, and he hits me in the back of the head, and I slam my head on the ice, but it doesn't really look bad. And then I remember spinning that night, and I remember driving home with a bunch of people after the game, after going out, and I started spinning, and I puked everywhere. And I'm like, oh boy, and that wasn't from boozing. That was a concussion throw up.
Yeah.
Which, if you're throwing up, that means you're rocked pretty good,
Yeah.
right? But I didn't tell anybody about it, and did our thing all night. And the next day, you forget about it, and it went away. But that one got me good. But I'm pretty blessed to not get caught. I was smart with it, dude. Like I had a game plan. Like I wouldn't want to take punches here. So if you take your hands and you go like this, don't get rocked in this area.
Yeah.
So I'd always bam they'd roll off my head, just like Ty Domi. Like they'd roll off my head. They'd do this. I'd switch on you. So I really never got caught too square in the face. Although a couple times I did. I'm like, okay. But I also trained myself to where if I get caught with one, you go black. So if you get rocked, your head rocked.
Yeah,
sometimes you go black.
Yeah.
Most people will be like this. Boom. What do? You automatically think go down. I trained myself to stay up. And so I get hit, and I'm like, okay, I'm back at it. Okay, I know where I'm at. Okay, let's go.
Jesus.
So it sounds kind of morbid, but no, that's how boxers do it. That's how UFC fighters do it. That's how you need to do it. So I was pretty smart without getting really caught, but sometimes it's inevitable. It truly is. And but yeah, like he caught me good. Brian McGratney caught me a couple times. I got caught in juniors a couple times. But then I started really catching guys bad. So I was pretty good about it, man. I got lucky. That's all it is too. Is luck.
What about an actual hit? Like who hit you that you were like,
holy
fuck,
shit,
what a body check? Like is there anybody that threw you off guard that you didn't think it hit that hard?
Yeah, myself. I hurt myself more than anybody else hurt me. Now you gotta understand, I didn't have the puck that much. I'm not having the puck 20 minutes a game, but people are always mad at me because I was always able to catch guys. So they always wanted to, maybe some guys would want to get me back. But the hardest I get hit is when I went to hit a guy and I'd miss and I'd slam into the boards. Or I would go to hit, I'll give you an example, Dustin Bufflin. I remember this was before he was anybody. This was the minors in Norfolk. And I remember I'm like, I'm crushing guys at this point. I got my groove, man. I'm fast. I'm going to get low and really explode through guys. So I see big Dustin Buff. I'm like, who's this big fuck? I'm going to get him. So I remember him coming around in net, and I'm like, here it comes. And he knew I was coming the whole time. And he laid his 260-pound shoulder into me. And I go, bam. I go, oh. And he steps over me and goes, plug. And I go, oh, God. That was a wake-up call. Dustin Bufflin, who's cool as hell. Yeah, he caught me bad, dude. It was a reverse hit.
Yeah.
Sometimes those reverse hits get you. Mark Stewart got me one time in Winnipeg, where I just dumped the puck, and I'm like, let's go. and I invited the hit, and he caught me, cracked my sternum.
Oh my God.
Bam, cracked my sternum. Like, ay, ay, ay. I was stuck in Winnipeg hospital for like 5 hours. They didn't even look at me in Winnipeg hospital for like 3 hours. I just got done playing a professional hockey game. They didn't even come check on me for 3 hours when I was in Winnipeg hospital.
That's crazy, man.
I know. I don't know what that was all about. All the guys are waiting on the tarmac for me. All the Devils players, and they got to wait for me for 3 hours, basically.
Oh man,
it's horrible.
Oh, that's got to be rough walking on the
I know they're all like, "Gee, thanks,
too.
Cam." Yeah, like we got a game the next day. You know, we got to get to our city. You know, that was
one of the things too that I remembered from you, and I give you full marks for like answering the bell, was the was it the Thomas Caberlet hit? So you hit him, hurt him pretty good. But when you went, so did you know going into Toronto the next time you guys met up? Did you know, like, obviously you were, was it or was it, who did you fight?
Belak.
Yeah, it was Belak. That's who it was.
Rest in peace, baby.
Yes, he was unreal, that guy. I remember watching you and him go toe to toe for probably a minute and a half at least over that.
Yeah.
So, but he came like right off the bench. Like you were already standing there dropping your gloves.
Oh,
like you knew it was coming, obviously, right?
Of course. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I had death threats, dude.
Really?
They were threatening to kill my family, burn my house down. I didn't give a fuck. Like, come at me in Eureka. Are you kidding? My mom and dad laughed at it. But I did hurt Caberlet, man. And it was a late hit. Like, I fucked up. I got 3 games. I messed up. Belak wasn't in the lineup that night. Claude Julien didn't even play me the rest of the game. It wasn't like that malicious. I was like cruising. They went D to D. I'm like, here we go. And I was like, I'm committed. Boom. And he hit weird, awkwardly. And he was
he like spun, player. Right? It was weird.
Yeah, hit his head like a hill cut. It was horrible. But I'm like, damn, I messed that up. Okay, like 100%. I got to pay the piper. So 2 weeks later, we play in Toronto. They hated me so bad, dude. Imagine that. Like, you know how the Toronto fans are. Right. They like me now because I go on like TSN all the time with them and stuff like that. So the fans like a little bit, they've gotten past that part. Mm-hmm. But at the time, it was really bad. And the funny thing is, everybody knew all the attention was on me that night in a bad way. Not because I'm scoring goals, and you better watch out for him because he's got 10 goals in the last 4 games. No. I'm a fourth line kid, and a young kid, and I just rocked your best player and knocked them out for the playoffs for your playoff hope. Like, that's horrible. But it is what it is. So that leading up to it was god awful, dude. But I didn't care because I liked the attention. And I'm like, I'm just going to have to pay the piper. I don't like death threats. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, that's fucked
But
up.
I wasn't like complaining. I don't give a fuck. Like, you can come do something to do it. But because people now are like, oh, God, people are mean to me online. Well, yeah, you just fucking ran their goalie over, man. You just got to like suck some of that shit up. Like, whatever. We've all gone through it. Some of it's different with the racist shit. Like, I get that. But in the end, it's just some dipshit kid in the basement with Cheetos in his fucking belly button anyway. Who cares what he says? Who cares? Exactly. Yeah. But they want to act like, because sometimes guys want to act like they're the victim too. Well, no, you're not. You just ran their goalie over. Yeah, and they're fucked now, and you're going to lose their organization probably millions of dollars. So people are going to you're going to have death threats. It is what it is. But
like that one,
Cheetos in his belly button. That's what got
no shit. That's exactly what happens, though. So that's who you got to think is saying that to you. Yeah. Anyway, I went out there, man, and the guys knew there's a lot of tension. They let me go skate out in warm-ups by myself to get the booze out of the way. So the guy's like, go ahead, Cam, just go out there by yourself. And I did. I skated out in warm-ups by myself.
Like a rookie lap?
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah. I think that was Marty's idea. Yeah, I didn't care. Did not care. I loved it. I loved the attention. But I needed to go fight 6'5" Wade Belak for 2.5 minutes, and that's exactly what I did.
And he's a truck.
That's what you do.
Oh, he's a huge
he's tough, man. He was so tough.
I was sitting at a bar when that went down. I was literally sitting at the bar, couldn't believe like how I'm like these guys are still fighting. It felt like 5 minutes.
The announcers are great too, both of them.
Yeah.
Who's the Leaf guy? He was awesome. And we getting the penalty box and we're dumping water. I'm like, I take all my shit off.
Yeah, and he's like, I know somebody that's standing on his couch right now.
Yeah,
wasn't that? It wasn't Joe Bowen, was it?
Who is that guy? He was fantastic.
I think
dude.
that was Joe Bowen that was on the call that game.
Give him a
Might have
shout
been.
out because he's
I
good.
love
Dude.
Joe. I
That was a
I
good call.
asked Joe to come on this. We're like Red Wings guys,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I reached out to Joe to come on the show because he's one of my favorite announcers in the NHL, and he's
Really good.
and he's a Leafs guy, and he's one of my favorites. I love him.
He's really good.
He'd be a good
I
interview.
evaluate all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I like good announcers, man.
Me too.
Like,
Yeah, big time.
because it makes the fight that much better.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
If the announcers are into it, it makes the fight and the energy and everything more intense.
It was he was
And
holy
that's what the fans
Mackinaws,
want.
everything.
Oh, it's awesome.
What a scrap.
Yeah, that was
How did
Yeah.
how did it work out, Cam, that you ended up going back to Jersey?
I called Lou and I said, "Hey, man, you got a spot?" He's like, "Yep." He's like, or maybe he called. I think the Reaver basically Ryan Reeves took my job in St. Louis, and rightfully so. He came up when I got hurt with my concussion, and he started dominating, scoring goals and stuff. I'm like, oh boy, and I had a good run in St. Louis. It's all good. So then my agent calls Lou, and Lou's like, "Yep, we could use you." They had an awesome team at the time. We went to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Kings in 2012, and so just called Lou, and Lou goes, "Absolutely." And so I made that team, and I was on a 2-way contract too, and I made the team. And I stayed up all year, which is great. And then Eric Bolton and I were the two tough guys. They kept two of them, and so it was cool. And he was my best buddy on the team too. Eric Bolton, the nicest, funniest son of a bitch you'll ever meet in your life. He is hilarious.
You
And
want
his kid Sawyer is killing guys for London right now.
I
just
know.
so you
I
know.
see.
He's getting suspended all the
Bolton.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Dude,
saw
Bolt's-
that. Okay, that's his kid.
Shit
Yeah,
kicker.
Sawyer
Gotcha.
and Ryder. Sawyer and Ryder.
Ryder.
Bolton. They're so tough, dude. Eric Bolton's so tough, but he's the nicest, funniest goofball you'll ever meet in your life, and I love that.
The crazy.
He's
we
from out
did that
east,
shit
right?
big time.
I think he's from out east, like
Yeah,
Halifax
Newfoundland,
or something
maybe.
like that.
Yeah, Halifax, something like Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
The craziest part
Yeah.
is like we've had lots of guys on the show that have been in the freaking NHL and have played pro overseas and this and that. And I always find that the guys that fight a lot are the nicest guys.
It's true.
There's a lot of good ones, man. A lot of good because the assholes get weeded out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
If
well,
you're an
and it's,
asshole. I don't care. You get weeded out.
and it's being down to earth too, right? Like a lot of you
Yeah.
guys are humble roots, hardworking, as opposed to, oh, silver spoon your whole life. Oh, AAA this, all kinds of points, and then they let it get to their head,
Prep
right?
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's hockey now.
Mhm.
Hockey's it's a wealthy sport now. A lot of wealthy kids with wealthy parents are playing now.
Yeah.
And there's still a mixture of kids from like Saskatoon and fucking Porcupine Plains, Saskatchewan,
Yeah.
Alberta, whatever,
Yeah.
right? But there's a lot of fancy kids out east that mom and dad have a lot of money and stuff like that. But that's just the way it is, man. It's expensive to play hockey, dude. It's expensive to play hockey, baseball, all that stuff. But hockey especially, it truly is.
Did you ever get to go around with Mac there when you came over to play against the Red Wings there, D-Mac? Because he's a good friend of our show.
Yeah.
So that's why I was wondering, do you ever get a chance to go with him?
D-Mac, who are you talking about? Oh, McCarty?
McCarty,
Yeah.
No, we played against him. He's a good dude. We had him on the pod too. He's awesome, man.
Yeah.
But no, I don't. I think he was playing for Calgary. They had other guys. I think Andre Waugh I fought all the time, but I have all the respect for him. Dude, I grew up watching him, man.
I love him.
I grew up watching him. Yeah, kill the fucking Blues is what they did. You know,
Yeah.
it was heartbreaking. Like with CBY Eiserman when we had Gretter and all those guys.
Yes.
When bar down, we were in bar down from the fucking blue line when Gretter turned the puck over in the neutral zone. That was devastating for St. Louis, dude. Trust me. So I always looked up to Darren McCarty, man. I like him a lot, dude. I know he's doing a lot better. I know he's been through some ups and downs, and he's a down to earth, cool cat.
100%. So that year, you were talking about that 2012 team that went to the Cup final. Did you see any playoff games that year?
No, I was a black ace,
Okay,
which is the worst thing in the world because Eric Bolton and I had to take care of all the young kids, but we'd still travel with the team. So we were getting bagged every day by Adam Oates, man. But it was fun. OT and I and Bolt and a couple other guys would play 3-on-3 for hours, dude, and get bagged, and then play three. And OT would play with us and chirp us and keep us motivated. And then but that dude, that was so painful.
Mm.
Like you're like, oh my god, what is going on? Like
Yeah.
we're just getting bagged every day. You're not part of the team. But then Lou and Pete DeBoer wanted me to go into the locker room before the games and give a funny pump up speech before the games.
Mm.
And that is like the most like that was dreadful for me because
Mm.
I had to go down there. Everybody's got their towel over the head, such serious, and I have to go be like, okay, guys, like a clown. But they wanted me to do it, and
Mm.
so it's a good feeling because they want you to. They know the guys like you and appreciate you, and you got a
Mhm.
sense of humor and make them laugh. They felt like your presence would help them play better. So
Right.
that's as a business, like you want your boss to want you to be around the big boys. So that was the most difficult damn thing ever. Never mind fighting guys. Going
Yeah.
down there and trying to entertain the players before they went and played fucking LA in a Stanley Cup final was the most difficult thing I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, talk about like you got to calm their nerves, right? By loosening them up with those speeches. I'm sure that's what the idea was. And not to mention you got like generational players. You got Ilya Kovalchuk in there.
Yeah.
Like that team was a wagon. Eliash and did they have a young
Parise.
Parise too, right? Yeah, Zach Parise.
Clarkson.
Did you ever
Yeah.
play with Scotty Gomez?
God, yeah, man. That's
Okay,
my
I knew
boy.
you did. Okay, so we had him on like early episodes and he was fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
So funny, dude. He's one of my favorite guys ever I played with. He chirped the shit out of me when I first came in. But we hung out a ton, man. Scotty Gomez so funny and witty, Alaska boy.
Mm-hmm.
Although you look at him, you're like, are you an outdoorsy guy? He tells me he's like going on these hunts in Alaska. I just can't picture it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He seems like a city boy to me, but he's an Alaskan guy. He was so funny, dude. I loved him. He was such a good teammate. Made a ton of money.
Yeah,
He's
he was
chilling now.
he
He
was
had a
awesome.
podcast going on. I think I don't know if it's still going or not, but he could do what he wants. He doesn't need to do it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? He
Yeah.
he he did pretty well for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome guy.
All right, Tris, we'll fire one more each at him here because I know he's got to go. And he's
Yeah, no,
last
good
thing,
buddy.
last thing I'm gonna ask you, Cam, how was it when you once you know like okay, hockey's kind of winding down for me. How was it like transitioning out of hockey to like just kind of real life type deal, shall I say?
It's a good question, dude, because I'm not educated and I'm a little wild at the time and I had no experience with TV and stuff like that. So I go, I'm gonna go play a year in England with my wife. Me and my wife going to England. It was so lovely. They were so great to us. I love history. I love English history. I
Mm-hmm.
do European history. I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with castles and war and things like that. Not that I like war, but I'm curious of how everything came about throughout history. So it's not like I'm like, yeah, war's great now. Hell no. No,
Mm.
I want to be chill. I want the US to be as chill as possible and maybe chime in here and there just to keep everything settled down. That's how I am. After 9/11, a little bit different. Now I'm like, nope. But we went over there and saw castles and stuff like that. I busted my ass. I didn't miss one shift that whole year. We won two championships out of three. And when I got back home, I signed a 2-year extension with them. I was going to be their captain. They had all this stuff pumped up. Then I got all these job offers for radio because I played
Mm.
here and
Yeah.
they knew I had a personality. And so I got job offers for radio and I was like, I have to start my career now. But for most people, dude, that's got to be very difficult. I was lucky enough to play in my hometown. So I knew enough people to where I would get job offers. But if I had to go back to Saskatoon or if I had to go back to Little Rock, Arkansas, where not too many, and I didn't play there, it would have been tough. It would have been tough to figure out what I'm good at and what not. But I knew I was pretty good at radio. I knew I was entertaining enough, and I knew I was curious enough to know a lot of other things in life to be able to entertain people. So it all worked out, and now we're just man. You talk for a living.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad. It's not a bad gig.
Not at
Awesome.
all. I honestly, I think my last question, it's a bit of a deep one, but what are your thoughts on the current status of fighting in the NHL and like do you think it should be implemented more? Do you think it's there like not enough or should they dial it back a bit? Like player safeties along those lines.
I don't even think about it. I watch the game now and this is me, dude. I'm hardcore,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not. I've accepted it. Like, there's no big boys where dude. When we used to go, it would be so pumped up before a game. Like, everybody knows, like, these two guys are gonna go. You're in warm ups. Everybody's like, there they are.
Yeah.
Like, it just was it was a boxing match inside of a game. Like, it was completely different. Now it's not. I don't mind I like the emotion. I want guys to go down. I love hits. I like emotion after whistles and stuff like that. But, the square offs now, they're okay. Like, it doesn't, I don't think about it that much. The game's fun to watch. These games are fun, man. That game last night against Boston and who am I? An Oilers. It was an awesome game, toe to toe. The Stadium Series were fun. I don't care about it that much, man. I've accepted that. Like, I know a lot of guys haven't, but I'm like, they don't fight. There's no fights. The game's still fun. They're going 100 miles an hour. The hits are still there. If you take hitting out, now we got a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure. No, yeah.
Cam, this
You know
is fucking fuck. This has been unreal. I just want to say thank you for your time. Best of luck with everything. The radio show, the pod. I listen to the pod all the time. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Let's work on. Would you be down if I can kind of maybe work something out with Windsor? Would you be down to come in for a night?
Yeah. I mean, it's not right. I mean, yeah. I'd love to go say hey to the fans, dude. Like, don't get me wrong. 100%. Love to go say hey to the fans. And they treated me great there, man. I think they deserve me coming up there. Hopefully they still remember me. I think they would.
I'm sure they do. Trust me. I'm sure they do.
I love it.
But if that happens, Cam, and you're here after whatever, we're gonna hit the Crown Royal room.
Well, yeah, dude.
Yeah,
dude.
Tristan's gonna drive me home that night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and me. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you just let me know, dude. But tell everybody I said hey out there, man. Tell them I miss all of them. They were so damn good to me, dude. I'll never forget that. And my whole family will never forget it either. Because that was a commitment for them as well, just so you know.
For sure.
It's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cam.
Anytime, homies.
Keep swinging. Good luck with the podcast and the radio show and everything else. And it'll go smooth.
You too, guys.
Yep.
You keep doing your thing, man. You guys are great, man. Trust me.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
You dudes.
Thank you.
Be cool, man. Right on.
I've lost my fight with time. My numbers up and up the line. I gaze at the darkness, so empty. Just looking for the light. Shout for help, but no one's there. Need a guiding hand, someone who cares. All alone in the darkness, I've realized for the first time I am scared. If I could do it all again, if I had one more chance, my friend, I would rewrite all my wrongs. I would find where I belong. I got lost along the way. I had so much more to say. If I could do it